Liars and cheaters in Biden and Harris all told the American people leading up to the November 3rd election that President Trump and Team Trump would never be able to come up with a vaccine, immunization, or serum that it could help bring an end to the coronavirus. They called President Trump a liar when he said he was going to do just that. But President Trump believed that we were at war. We were at war with a virus brought to the United States by a communist country called the People's Republic of China. And on a war footing, the President of the United States moved heaven and hell and put aside the red tape by paper-pushing bureaucrats. And what he did with his team was bring about a vaccine, and not just by one pharmaceutical company, but now we know that there are other pharmaceutical companies also coming out with immunizations for the coronavirus. Go get 'em, Team Trump. We also were told by those liars and cheaters and Trump haters that there was nothing to see with regards to the Biden crime family and Joe Biden involved in his influencing, peddling, racketeering, reaching out to foreign governments and foreign entities, selling influence within the American government, within our own domestic sphere. I thought it was interesting that with regards to the Biden crime family, that all the Democrats on all the network news shows, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, Bloomberg News, they all said there's absolutely nothing to see with regards to Joe Biden and the strong relationship he had with Hunter Biden. Well, come to find out, that was a lie too. So today, I'd like you to listen to Tony Bobulinski. This man is a former naval officer, but he's not just any former naval officer. This man had what is referred to as Q clearance. Now, I'm going to read out to you because it's extensive. I want you to know what Tony Bobulinski, who you're about ready to hear, what kind of Q clearance he had as a naval officer. That authorized him to have authority to look at the Department of Energy's access to top secret restricted data. So the Department of Energy, this Q security clearance, allowed Tony Bobulinski to have top secret restricted data access. It also allowed him to have formally restricted data and national security information and secret restricted data. All of this is defined in the Atomic Energy Bill of 1954, which does what? It allowed Tony Bobulinski to be able to have access to top secret restricted information on a need-to-know only basis on nuclear weapons and related materials and weapons. So I want you to hear Tony Bobulinski because he actually met with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's brother, who talked about plausible deniability, which we're going to define for you in just one moment. Play that clip.
In that meeting, remember, I'm the son of a naval officer. Was a naval officer myself. And because I held a Q clearance, which is the equivalent of a top secret clearance, we're audited every year. So if you receive a gift, I think the barrier was $25. Anything larger than $25, we had to disclose it to the government because obviously anybody with the clearance, the government is watching closely that they're not influenced by the Russians, the Iranians, the Chinese, and stuff like that. So as I was listening to Jim walk through this, I have a big heart. If you talk to anybody who knows me, they would weigh in on that. I'm a kind person, and I'm thinking about the Biden family. Like, how are they doing this? I know Joe decided not to run in 2016, but what if he ran in the future? Aren't they taking political risk or headline risk? And I remember looking at Jim Biden and saying, how are you guys getting away with this? Like, aren't you concerned? And he looked at me and he laughed a little bit and said, plausible deniability.
So plausible deniability refers to an individual who's thinking to himself or herself, there's not enough actionable evidence. There's just non-actionable evidence or actionable evidence. In other words, there's not enough evidence that will be made available or could be made available in order to pursue a criminal or arrest warrant. So that's what the Bidens have counted on. The problem with that is that Hunter Biden's laptop was discovered. And within Hunter Biden's laptop that was discovered, they found criminal activity. So there are 4 ongoing criminal investigations. Now, the only thing you heard the fake news media talk about was, well, there's an investigation on his tax reports or his tax forms, because apparently maybe he didn't claim that $400,000 payments and salary that Burisma Holding Inc. was providing to him, along with other foreign companies, money he was getting from China, because after all, China wanted a deal with Joe Biden. Let's go to that next clip. This is with Senator Jordan, I believe, from the United States Senate.
Archer, and then the millions of cash flow between the intricate web of corporate dealings with the Chinese nationals that have current connections to the communist government and former affiliations with the People's Liberation Army, helping arrange, for example, the purchase and the control by Chinese business of a U.S. dual parts auto manufacturer. The type of equipment could be used for military purposes by the PLA. Again, it's such an extensive web. There's so many millions of dollars flowing back and forth with those associations. We've just only uncovered. I think we're only scratching the surface. We have no guarantee that we've uncovered it all.
So we know because of Hunter Biden's laptop, in addition to now other information that the Department of Justice has been investigating now for over a year, we understand there are texts, other documents, and reports available. I have a photo image of one of the texts in which it indicates it was a text written by James Galar who stated, don't mention Joe being involved. It's only when you are face to face. I know you know that, but they are paranoid, which I am told is a reference to Joe Biden. Well, I bet Joe Biden was paranoid. I bet he is paranoid. That's why he runs around telling everybody how proud he is of his son, because his son worked out all those money deals for Joe Biden to afford him luxurious homes and vacations, things that you and I know nothing of. But I think it's important to point that out, because I believe that if the Republicans play this right and pay attention, that Joe Biden could be impeached, hopefully removed from office. And then we can go after all that corruption associated with Kamala Harris. If the Republicans win a majority in 2022, well, guess what? It's a different game we're playing. And I want to thank President Trump, not only remember the Democrats said it'd take a miracle for there to be a vaccine by the end of 2020. Well, welcome to miracles, Dems. I put a list on the talking points of several President Trump's and his administration's accomplishments. I'd like you to, take a minute to read it. I want to share some of those accomplishments with you, because Biden and his team will not begin to even touch President Trump's accomplishments in his 4 years. For example, President Trump delivered 4 million jobs since he was elected. More Americans are now employed than ever recorded before in America's history. President Trump and his team created more than 400,000 manufacturing jobs since the president was elected. Manufacturing jobs are growing at the fastest rate in 30 years. I also want you to know that Black Americans, that employment, has now reached, unemployment for Black Americans has reached the lowest rate ever recorded in American history. Asian American unemployment recently achieved the lowest rate ever recorded. Women's unemployment has recently hit the lowest rate in nearly half a century. Under President Trump's administration, veterans' unemployment recently reached its lowest rate in nearly 20 years. The Obama individual mandate penalty, remember that tax that Biden wanted to charge, well, Hillary too, they wanted to charge everybody in America a tax if you didn't have health care or Obamacare. Well, President Trump got rid of it. In fact, if it hadn't been that traitor, remember McCain, Senator John McCain. President Trump didn't like him very much because McCain, talk about one vote matters. It was the fact that John McCain refused to vote to end and finally get rid of Obamacare that we still have it today. Just in other news I just want to share regarding the 2020 elections. It's come to my attention that Nevada, under subpoena, the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles have provided a list to the state government of Nevada, a list of non-citizens who had obtained driver's license. And on that list, when it was compared, the detailed information of these non-citizens who obtained a driver's license, when their information was compared against the county voter records, well, lo and behold, guess what? A lot of non-citizens, including non-citizens who actually registered to vote that didn't have a lawful right to vote, voted. 3,987 non-citizens voted. That's criminal fraud, ladies and gentlemen. One other note that's just been brought to my attention today. A man who makes a living developing fraud detection algorithms. Think about that. A man has built a career developing fraud detection algorithms, and he has just discovered a curious phenomenon. Counties that started using the Dominion voting systems, only those Dominion voting systems, remember those systems that can change a Trump vote to a Biden vote? Those systems? That the Dominion voting system machines have moved by 2 to 3 points to the Democrat presidential candidate from the Republican presidential candidate compared to counties that didn't have the Dominion voting systems. Algorithms, corrupt algorithms run by the Dominion voting system machines. And guess who has just been summoned to the United States Senate for hearings and further investigation? You got it. The president and CEO of Dominion Voting Systems. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you. By the way, just if you're wondering why I shared that list of which I just mentioned a few things. I had a Democrat tell me the other day, people like evangelicals voted for Trump because they're misguided, because they're dumb and stupid and they just don't understand. They just don't understand who President Trump is. I'll tell you, you Trump haters and other Democrats, liars and cheaters, We voted for President Trump because of lists of policy achievements, things that have made this country great again. That's why we stand with President Trump. Thank you so much for listening, and please support Frugati's Restaurant and Anna Tay's products. Thank you so much.